All right, so this is the second time we're doing this, but who knows? But you got a little cocktail that you made, non-alcoholic cocktail with your broken skull glass.
Yes, it is. Well, now I've finished the bottle while the internet reset. It is a non-alcoholic bourbon that I've mixed with ginger ale. It's quite good. I do prefer the Ritual brand of the non-alcoholic spirits, but this one's not bad. It's a little sweeter than the other, so it goes well with the ginger ale.
Tell us why though you picked that glass though.
Well, that's because as of this week, we have learned that our boy Stone Cold Steve Austin is probably coming out of retirement for a match at WrestleMania because nothing is sacred anymore.
Nope.
How do you feel about this one?
I don't feel great about it, honestly. But because I love Stone Cold so much, he's like my favorite. And he ended it relatively well. And I just, the amount of times he said he's not coming back and stuff like that. I am glad he didn't show up at Saudi Arabia or something like that. So I'm really hoping that he keeps it to that. I mean, it is something that will get me back to a WWE show next time it comes to LA. Like, honestly, if I can see Stone Cold, there was one show we went to where I bought a Los Angeles 316. It was when they first started doing all those like Brock Lesnar Suplex City things for each show. And I was just like, oh, that means he's going to be here. And then it wasn't at all. It was just a way for them to sell extra merch. Yeah. So I was excited about it then. I still am excited about it now. I'd like to see him. I'll see him. I'll go see him. I'll go to a WWE show because that's what it'll take to get me there now. But at the same time, I just hope it's good. I hope they don't. I don't know. Just make him lose immediately to Brock Lesnar.
It's not a bad mentality that you'll go just to see him. Seeing as how I bought a ticket for Raw tomorrow night in Columbia, just in hopes that Cody Rhodes shows up since it's so close to his house. I'm going to sit through 3.5 hours of Raw just to see if Cody Rhodes shows up and Ciampa have a match on Main Event before the show. Which, if people haven't been watching Main Event, apparently Tommaso has been on the road once a week to do. It's kind of been some of the Dolph Ziggler stuff they're building towards, but it's also that he's been wrestling on Main Event, and he's been wrestling Dijakovic, who is still T-Bar for whatever reason. I thought when that whole thing went away, he could go back to being himself. Who was great, and I don't understand how they haven't figured out a way to use this guy. But yeah, I bought a ticket to go to Raw against my better judgment because Cody Rhodes might be there. So I get I get how you feel about it'll put you in the stands. I think the counter argument on that keeps hitting me is that you've put 200 people on the unemployment line, and yet you can still find the sacks of cash to get Goldberg to come back. Or I don't even want to know how many zeros are on the check it took for Stone Cold to come out of retirement. Not like he needs them, but it had to have been an amount of money he couldn't turn down. Or either that or they couldn't get The Rock, so they were like, well, I mean, we had this earmarked for him, so I guess. But it's just like everybody else raising prices on everything in spite of just phenomenal corporate growth. It's ridiculous.
I mean, hopefully Stone Cold can kind of, call his shot on like who he wants to face and who he wants matches with. I think, trying to think about who would be good with it. I think him and Kevin Owens, I think it would be a phenomenal program, especially considering the fact that Kevin's doing the stunner. So like you could I could think that could be a great match. And I feel like someone like Kevin would do a really great job bumping for Stone Cold and, like, I don't know, just really making him look great. Like AEW's done with Sting. Like you can do it a right way. I don't think they've done it, but it's also because they've gotten people like Goldberg, who was never the best wrestler to begin with. So I think they could do it. They could do it right. I just think with WWE's history that I'm not confident that they are. So if, like, Stone Cold was going to AEW, I kind of feel like they would figure out a way to make that work really well and to highlight the best of him. I get why he's not going there, like, because he has this, he has a big history with WWE, and also probably the paycheck is ginormous. The more that Tony Khan wants to pony up, so I think, it's going to be interesting. I just hope they don't ruin it. I mean, to be fair, they ruined Stone Cold for me once when he turned heel, and that was basically when I stopped watching wrestling in the Attitude Era. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But tell us about our boy Moose.
Yes, we got Impact's. What are we calling these? Premium live events is what we're calling them now. Because nothing is a pay-per-view anymore. No Surrender was Saturday night. Moose retained. He defeated Morrissey. If reports are to be believed, there's a distinct possibility that Morrissey is almost a free agent. I find it. I have no doubt he's going back to Vince. He's 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. So it's. I think that may have had something to do with it. Moose is fantastic. Other hits during No Surrender. Jay White turned on the Gorillas of Destiny and aligned himself with the Good Brothers. I think it's got more to do with getting in good with the Elite, since the Bucks seem skeptical still. But we'll see how that plays out. Matt Cardona has retained the social media title after a low blow disqualification on Jordan Grace. We also got Eddie Edwards turned on Team Impact to get the big win for Honor No More. So Honor No More will continue in Impact, which I'm thrilled about. They have done great things with this so far. And I'm always excited to see, OG Kingdom. Those guys are awesome. But yeah, that was pretty much it. There was some X Division stuff, but there's not really a whole lot that ever changes there. They just kind of hand the titles back and forth between the same 3 or 4 guys. It's like a hyper violent 24/7 championship. Yeah. And that No Surrender was a quality show, but we also got that wonderful 3+ hour shit show in the desert in Saudi Arabia that WWE presented, Elimination Chamber, with the blood money from the Crown Prince on Saturday as well. I'll let you take that one away because I'm trying to be positive.
So I only really actually did watch the men's Elimination Chamber match. I mean, that was the only thing I was really particularly interested in. I'm sure there was some decent matches on there ahead of time, but I also just kind of forgot that, oh, wait a minute, this is in the morning? This is starts at 9 a.m. So I tuned in right when the men's chamber entrances were happening. Bobby Lashley was coming to the ring. And the most interesting thing is they loaded up 3 of the pods, and they brought out the 2 gentlemen that were going to start the match. And then they brought out the fourth entrant to the pod. And it's just okay, here's your biggest star, but still, there's an order that we do things in. I don't know. It's just kind of lame.
I think it did a massive disservice. I know they had to fill time, and you can't put Brock in there first and expect him to kill, 25-ish minutes of match time. He did it in that Royal Rumble where he started number 1 and went to 18 or no, he went all the way to the end, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because it was at the end that he got Claymored over the top. So he started at the first and ran the entirety of that Royal Rumble. So he can do it. I think it would have, given how wrong they did Bobby Lashley with the injury angle and him not being able to actually participate here. Had Brock actually started this match and had time in the ring with each of these guys so that he didn't make 3 former champs look like a chump, so that they didn't have to kill all that time with him just gratuitously beating the hell out of Austin Theory for seemingly no reason. Because Brock's got history with Rollins. I don't understand why that wouldn't have been the guy that he wanted to put a massive beatdown on. Because we're not building towards an Austin Theory Brock Lesnar WrestleMania match. So all of that was gratuitous. It goes nowhere. I think it would have done more for him to start the match if he was going to win, as opposed to him kicking his way out of his pod before actually being released, and eliminating all the other competitors when he wasn't even an active participant in the match. I don't know what they were thinking here. The F5 off the top of the pod looked horrible. It just felt like a disjointed mess. If Bobby Lashley was hurt, you have him surrender the title 2 weeks ago. Just say you're hurt. You can't compete at a level that a champion should. It's a sign of goodwill towards the audience to not put them through this kind of shit, because we know this is the sort of shit that's coming. And you put somebody else in that other pod so that you get a full match without all this extra garbage. I think they did a massive disservice to everybody else in this match to get to what we already knew was coming. And it really does. It kills me the way they've treated AJ Styles lately. Just kills me.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, on top of that too, we just want to talk about Brock. So now we're getting, you were reading about the injuries and stuff and when you were watching it. So I had watched it and I'd already watched it at that point where you were concerned about Bobby Lashley. And I was like, he's okay. At least I didn't know about the shoulder, but it was like, it's not a concussion. They took him out of that match for some other reason because they had that graphic ready to go. Champion versus champion, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, winner takes all. With that, so it's obvious where they were going, but at the same time, my only plausible thing was maybe he did get injured, but it didn't affect the plan because, Brock was going to win anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm not even sure anymore that, for a while it was just when Brock came back, I was like, okay, this is where Roman's going to get that final chance to defeat Brock, which is he's failed to do all this time. And I'm just not even sure about that anymore.
Yeah. I got to give a lot of credit to Bobby Lashley on the selling in that pod, though. I was actually concerned that something happened to him. It didn't even cross my mind because the way Theory went through the side of that thing, it got Lashley in the knee. I didn't even consider concussion at all. I was actually more worried that the plexiglass wasn't supposed to give, because the way it was propped up on his leg, I thought he was pinned in there in a way that if he moved, that plexiglass was going to cut him. And we all know that that's not a real good place to get cut.
Yeah.
I was more concerned that something had gone slightly wrong and he was actually in harm's way. And though at one point, Seth Rollins kind of looked at the ref and the ref just kind of shook his head and shrugged he didn't know what the hell they were supposed to do. And that gave me a little bit of pause too. So if all of that was selling, those guys did the best they could with what they were given. And they deserve some credit for that. But I was worried for Bobby Lashley for a bit there.
Yeah. I guess it'll be interesting, but you'll see the fallout. They're on their way back to Columbia, South Carolina for Raw tomorrow, and you're going.
Yeah. I haven't seen any reports that their plane has been detained in any way, so I'm not going to get 3 hours of NXT talent. I probably wouldn't be terribly upset if that was mostly what I got. Pete Dunne and Ciampa could probably put on a hour-long Iron Man match, and I'd be thrilled with it. But yeah, I don't necessarily expect that I'm going to get there and it's going to blow my socks off. I think it's going to be entirely too much promo, but I am excited to see if Cody shows up and if Tommaso gets another main event match, which he probably will. It seems like that's a weekly thing for him now.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you can just have fun. At least you don't have to drive anywhere for it. You're just going down the road. So it's nothing like how like that one time we went to Birmingham, like to go see a Raw. Although we had delicious barbecue beforehand.
There was a basketball game in the same arena last night. So I checked like an hour before the game what traffic looked like. And even with delays, it was 14 minutes. So I'm pretty thrilled about this. I've already scouted out like which parking structure is a little further out that I can walk in from. So yeah, hopefully it's a pretty smooth in and out. If the show's a complete mess, I don't stay up that late. Well, I do stay up that late with the baby, but I'm too old for 11 o'clock show endings plus the closing dark match.
Right.
Unless it's Tony Nese and Sammy doing a TNT title match. I don't really push myself to stay awake for much, but yeah, it should be fine. I mean, at this point they've solidified most of WrestleMania. So at least it'll all be mostly progressive towards that. Other stuff from Elimination Chamber, there wasn't a whole lot of remarkable. The pre-show match with Miz and Mysterio was actually a pretty good one. No real surprise there. They're both really talented dudes. It did get some Dominic distraction ending that is kind of their go-to. And Lita and Becky Lynch was a pretty good one. Outside of that, it was just kind of standard fare or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest problem has become that there's no surprise. Like nobody went into that Elimination Chamber and thought anybody but Bianca was going to walk out of there as the winner. Like nobody, I didn't look at Vegas betting odds because I could have guaranteed it was like 12,000 to 1 for everybody else in that match except for her. And she was probably like a 1-to-1 odds on. I mean, throw me a curveball every now and then. Like, I'd like to see, I get it. The squash from SummerSlam. Now Bianca gets to talk up her redemption, even though she's lost to Becky like 87 times since SummerSlam. Like there's nothing there. If you couldn't get over the hump those other times, why can you suddenly do it now? After you've been through the most grueling match in WWE history. I mean, you're going into this thing less than 100%, so nobody's buying it. I mean, it's the wrong time for Liv Morgan to get a WrestleMania moment because you turned her into a chump. Doudrop just lost. I mean, at least Alexa Bliss would have been a bit of a curveball since she just came back. I don't know. I think that's become the biggest problem is that it's every detail of it is so predictable. And I'd love to just get a curveball every now and then. But
like an earned curveball, and also too, not just like, I don't know. I feel like all their curveballs are like Brock Lesnar showing up now. Well, in another match somehow.
You remember the Intercontinental Ladder match?
Right.
Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan were in there. And then just out of nowhere, Zack Ryder gets the win. Like, give us that moment. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, they're capable of it. Just do it.
Well, I mean, they do those
me.
moments, but they do those moments, but it's like we want to follow up. We want to follow up to that too. Like with Ryder basically losing right away the Intercontinental Championship. With Big E, like no real good follow up there with his championship run. So that's the thing. Like they're great at giving you moments, but like I want that to feel a little bit more earned going forward.
They double botched on Big E too. I mean that whole let's announce on Twitter 2 days ahead of time that he's going to cash in on that specific Raw, so you know he's gonna win. It just they really screwed him over pretty bad. That's upsetting. I try not to think about it too often. So it's been what 2 weeks now since we've done one of these. Lots of stuff. What jumps out from the 2 weeks that have been in your mind?
Well, you had that very bloody. We had Keith Lee showing up. We had who we were basically sure of by the time we finished that podcast. We had Jay White also showing up, which led to a very good match between him and Trent on Rampage. What else? We had a very bloody match with Lance Archer and Hangman, with Hangman retaining the championship there. Not surprised, but I was a little surprised how bloody it got. But maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. Hangman's a bleeder. When
he bleeds a lot.
He might have got some. So one of the kind of a friend of a friend, his former roommate was Sick Dick Mondo, and he was always talking about like, my friend's not really at all like interested in wrestling. But he was just talking about it, and he was talking about how death matches, I think they would take aspirin, which like thins the blood. So like when you do get cut, you just bleed a lot more. So that's one of the tricks of the trade. But yeah, I don't know if he's doing that, but obviously someone like Sick Nick Mondo was doing that all the time because death matches. But I was just really impressed with Rampage specifically this week. I mean, Dynamite was good, like pretty solid show all around. But Rampage, you had that Jay White match with Trent, which was the main event. You had Dante Martin versus Will Hobbs, which I thought was
excellent match. Excellent.
Yeah.
Match.
We had something up to open up the match. Oh yeah, 10 versus Adam Cole, which I thought was a pretty good match. Although there was one, like, I think a German that was like, ooh, Adam fell a little bit too far back on his neck, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that match was great. And 10 looked like a monster. It was a good show, for the super loud voices that are still saying Adam Cole is too small to carry a company. To put him in there with a guy like that and have them put on that kind of match right before he goes into his Revolution match with Adam Page. I thought that was a good piece of booking to keep him in there with bigger guys for a little bit, build him up as a contender. Something that the other company doesn't like to do is build up potentials. Dante Martin and Hobbs, that match was great. And now we're looking at the face of the Revolution match is Hobbs,
Big boys.
Wardlow, and Keith Lee so far, right? I mean they need to. As Michael Cole always says, they're going to have to reinforce the ring for this one.
Or as Biggie would say, "Big meaty men slapping meat."
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so thrilled. Because, I mean, Wardlow has been right there for so long, and Hobbs too. And I've been preaching it for a couple of weeks now that I wanted both of those guys to get and now they're getting it just all at once. I'm so thrilled about it. And Keith Lee's amazing. There's the fourth qualifiers this week, right? Because it's
I think so. I mean,
how many guys are in this match? 6?
I want to say 6. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a couple more qualifiers. They'll probably have to put, since it's a ladder match, they'll probably need to find a way to get some smaller guys in there.
Yeah.
A little disappointed that Dante Martin's eliminated because he does some just utterly amazing things, and I'd like to see him work with a ladder, but.
Or just seeing how high Keith Lee yeeted Isaiah Cassidy. It's maybe also a shame that he's not in there either. So.
That's true. He ate that bump pretty well. It's funny because it's just because I love him so much. But the most notable thing in the last 2 weeks for me was the shadowy figure in the back of the House of Black vignette that we got, because it was very clearly Buddy Matthews. And I popped. Like, I didn't even see his actual face, and I popped for it. I can't wait. That guy's hell. Let's get him in that match, because I've seen what he can do with in those cruiser type spots. Let's get him in there. He's strong enough that he can work the big moves on the big guys. Yeah, and then he can do the cruiser stuff too. So that would be an awesome spot for him. That stood out pretty hardcore. And
then we've got a dog collar match coming up, which makes me real uncomfortable, honestly. I didn't like watching the Brody Lee Cody Rhodes one, which they mentioned a lot for the fact that Cody Rhodes just left the company. They wanted to remind you that match existed. But yeah, we got that coming up. And then what I really liked, really great promo battle between Bryan Danielson and Mox, particularly Mox. He's just great on the mic, and so is Danielson. And basically, Mox just talked about how the fact he's never actually beaten Danielson, but then talk about, well, maybe Danielson's afraid that of Mox beating him, and that's why they've kind of he's changed his mind about teaming with him instead. But Mox is interested in teaming, but he's got to bleed with him first. So we're getting that match. So I liked how they put it together.
That one's going to be brutal. I don't know when they're going to do that match, because I thought it would have been great if they ended up in one of these two tag team elimination matches together, because that would be huge. But I guess you need them to get that singles match out of the way on one of these cards. Pay-per-view cards. So it's going to be in Orlando. It's probably why the ticket prices have continued to rise instead of dropping as we get closer to the date. Because yes, I'm watching. I don't know how the hell to make it work, but I have been watching ticket prices. So we'll see. We both know that means I'm going one way or another. So we're heading towards that. That was a great promo. And Danielson's heel work here lately, I am beyond impressed. For the yes man, that the heel work is otherworldly. Watching him stomp the shit out of everybody he gets in the ring with, it's something special.
I think what works really well is the way he's portraying that it is that he doesn't believe he's a heel.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people he's wanting to bring together on a team together with Mox are a lot of them. There's some of them are heels, some of them are faces. Like, so he's not playing this like traditional heel face. He is, he's doing heelish things, but he believes that he's like 100% right, which I think is definitely like making it better.
Oh yeah, he's got some Lex Luthor vibes. Like I'm feeling it.
And then let's finish up with a little bit of talk about Tuesday night show. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did.
NXT.
This was New Year's Evil this week. Yeah.
St. Valen or something to do with Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, Vengeance Day.
Vengeance Day.
Shit, I'm a month and a half behind. That's sleep deprivation, folks. Vengeance Day. Not a whole lot changed here. All the champs who were still are. We did get another appearance from Dolph Ziggler. We are going to get a Dolph Ziggler Ciampa match this week on NXT, which I'm excited about. And if the rumors are to be believed, Dolph Ziggler will challenge Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship at noon on a Saturday before day one of the most stupendous WrestleMania in history.
Oh my God.
We have relegated takeovers to noon.
Yep.
Okay. Just I'm baffled. You've got a 3-hour TV spot on Monday nights. Just do takeover instead of Raw. Like, do something. Put it in prime time. But you putting these guys on at noon on a weekend, you're just asking for nobody to watch it. Even your diehards aren't tuning into shit at noon on a Saturday unless it's a college football game. So it's I don't know the thinking there. The Hall of Fame presentation could easily be something you televise at noon on a Saturday, because only your most diehards are going to watch that. Like, who gives a shit? You're basically telling us that your 2.0 thing isn't working, and this is just where it fits into your day. So it's disappointing. Mandy Rose looked great as always. Toxic Attraction retained their tag team titles. They looked pretty good in that match. Pete Dunne and Tony D had a fairly brutal cage match. Sorry, weaponized cage match, also formerly known as the Ambrose Asylum. I did like that the weapons weren't in weird little buckets at the top of the cage. They were like bungee corded to the cage itself. Couple of gnarly spots in that one. At one point, they landed on like the corners of the trash can instead of in the center. The table broke like it was supposed to, but it still like came down on them funny. Just a couple of real gnarly bumps. Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes had one hell of a match. Both those guys
Chef's
are excellent. Yep. That was just a fantastic match. Santos Escobar. He looked pretty good in that title match. But again, you knew they weren't taking that belt off Braun Breaker anytime soon.
Right. I love Santos Escobar's themes. I love Legado del Fantasma's theme song. I don't know. It's a banger. It's like one of the few bangers that they have anymore in WWE, but it's great. Yeah,
because they've moved to all this like probably royalty-free theme music shit. But yeah, theirs is great. Their whole entrance is fantastic. Their presentation has been awesome. I love the slick suits. Essentially, it's what Andrade was trying to do the whole time, and they just didn't let him do it. I mean, the slick suits and them they're always together. You never see them apart, and that's what a faction's supposed to look like. Like Hogan, Nash, and Hall were always together. That's why the NWO worked as a unit. It's all appearances. I don't know. I think they waited way too long to get Escobar into this spot. And that's disappointing because he probably could have had a couple of great title defenses had he got that belt sooner. But yeah, I mean, the show was good. All the matches were solid. I can't think of a one that wasn't. So yeah, it's NXT. It's still, for the most part, it's still your indie guys killing themselves, indie guys and women, because the women have been the shining star of NXT since 2.0 started. Even the weird gimmicks, like the wrestler that Wendy Chu, I think, that wrestles in a Snuggie, and like her gimmick is that she likes to nap. Whatever. She's good in the ring, so I'm good with it. The Tiffany Stratton gimmick doesn't necessarily work, but she's decent in the ring too. You've still got tons of talent with Kaylee Ray and Mandy Rose is incredibly talented, even though she's got all those old diva vibes. So yeah, they're still they're putting on good shows. I really wish they weren't at noon on Saturdays, but
yeah, the one thing I wish, with some of these development people, like, you have promo class, but they're doing all these vignettes and stuff. Have some acting coach come over and just like have a week-long session. Like some of these, whatever that one was, were about the friend zone and like they were in a bar, which I guess technically that actual wrestler is not even 21. So like, I don't know, man. That was just real rough, and just like, this is like first year film school like situation right now, and I don't want to watch this on television. So and what kills me is that it's not like they don't have guys there that could help. Like, everything that Cameron Grimes and LA Knight did together was gold. Like, so they've got people there that could be that. Like, if you don't want to hire an acting coach, which right now they're not hiring anybody except overpriced part-timers. So if you need somebody to help coach this younger crop of talent in those things, they're there. Utilize them. But yeah, that vignette in the bar, that was hard to watch. Yeah.
I mean, as much as I love Raquel Gonzalez, that is her weakest point too.
Right.
Because she never comes across as like that brutal, mean badass that she's trying to portray. She just seems like a super nice lady that happens to be jacked. So it's like I agree with you 100% that that's the weakest part of NXT is that they need they're bringing in, I don't want to call them washed up football players, but let's call it what it is. A lot of the talent that gets brought in, that's what they are. And they could use a little help because you're not going to find a lot of guys with Gronk's personality that just show up for a performance center tryout. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. I don't really expect much to change, but they seem to be just moving along with 2.0 and making sure to remind you that we're in development. This is development. It was a cool indie super show before, and now it's development, which is just a little sad.
You want that shit? You should have been watching Ring of Honor. I'm still I don't get it. It was wildly successful. All of the takeovers sold out arenas. So there's one night a week that you do a little less on TV. Like even when NXT was like peaking, it wasn't your big brands. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar were not going to show up on NXT. You can't expect NXT to have SmackDown ratings. Like it just was never going to happen, and that's what they thought. Meanwhile, you're putting, your indie darling show that you have a substantial fan base for up against a show that can parade out Chris Jericho and Sting shows up, and honestly, it got to the point there early on where you didn't know who would show up in AEW. That's why you lost the ratings war. Shock and awe. You as a wrestling fan, even if you didn't know who any of these guys were, you'd heard Kenny Omega's name for years. Xavier Woods has been saying it for years. So, you were tuning in to see these things that you'd heard about for so long. And we watched NXT on our DVRs. It's not like we weren't watching what you were putting out there. So I don't know. The mentality seems flawed. You're not losing ratings on your main show because your talent isn't, Ultimate Warrior. You're losing talent, or you're losing ratings on your main show because your main show fucking sucks. And your NXT now is going to look just like that. So NXT is going to fucking suck, and nobody's going to watch that. I don't know. And now we've. Did you see that 205 Live is officially gone and rebranded as essentially NXT Dark? NXT Dark Elevation.
Level up.
It's their version of Dark Elevation. So whatever. At least they're not trying to limp 205 Live along to the point where they completely tarnish everything that it did accomplish. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I almost wish it was like some kind of like metaverse bullshit where the only way you could watch it was in an Oculus Rift or something like that.
That honestly, I would if you just had guys randomly sitting in the audience with those headsets on that film it, like that Foo Fighters concert the other night. That would have been cool. Like I would sit and watch NXT through my Oculus. That it'd kind of feel like I was there. The sound on that thing's so loud, it's like you're actually in a damn room. Five Nights at Freddy's on the Oculus is the most terrifying shit ever.
I can't even. I just watch Let's Plays of people playing that game on YouTube. I don't even play the game. I can't handle it.
You know, it's so. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wanted to kind of come towards the end here. I wanted to bring up. There was a really good kind of. Then there's on Cage Side. There's a kind of a. They take some quotes from it. An interview with Kenny Omega where he talks about the whole Cody situation quite a bit. I thought it was really interesting, and they kind of talk about how like professionally they were really, everything was good there, but like they didn't really have much of a personal relationship. And I was like, and Omega said he's not the type of person that I, after the show I would go get a Diet Pepsi with. And so I got to really question Kenny Omega now. Going for Diet Pepsi? I know he's straight edge, totally fine with that. I just like Diet Pepsi's complete trash. And so terrible.
Pepsi in general is just garbage. Sorry to everyone in the second city that thinks it's the holy grail of soft drinks, but you're all wrong.
Or in North Carolina, because there's a lot of North Carolina Pepsi fans there. So,
I did enjoy that whole response that he gave. I found it interesting because, it may just be that when it's coming from an actual wrestler, I do try to read between some of the lines. He basically seemed like he was saying, we started this one way and now we've all lost creative control to Tony, and Cody is just the most not okay with it, is how I read a lot of that.
Right.
It sort of seemed like he basically said, like, me and the Young Bucks are here for the long haul. Like we wouldn't just jump ship and go over there. But he himself didn't necessarily seem like he was terribly thrilled with all of their creative control being like actively taken from them.
Right. And I do, on one hand it was its own thing, but he did to talk about how like they had their own like different programs and stuff going on, and Cody was over there in the Codyverse is what he said. And those first few months of shows, there were some great shows like that very first one, but then it was just wildly inconsistent until kind of like into some point in 2020 where TK I guess took complete control. And I don't know. I think it is better for all of that, but it's I could see how that could be disappointing. But on the other hand, Tony Khan is putting up all the money, so
yeah. Well, I think that, and I've pointed it out a handful of times that it's just like WWE. It's when one guy at the top is making all the creative decisions, it's repetition. You see a lot of the same match finishes, and you see the majority of these feuds just go through the same progressions. And I don't know. I like the idea of having more voices at the table. Here's hoping that Control Your Narrative is a wildly successful promotion. I'm still convinced that that's where Cody's going. That EC3 and formerly Strowman, now Adam Scherr, have teamed up with Cody, used his connections to get their TV deal, and they're just gonna. It's the only way he'll have creative control somewhere. So I don't know. That would be fun as shit for. I'm excited. I mean,
people were talking about the fact that Dusty did the same thing. Well, he would go somewhere, he would have some degree of booking power, he would lose said booking power, and then he would go somewhere where he had even less booking power, but then he got a whole bunch of money, and then he would start to cycle over again. So WWE could be a very short-term run in this, and maybe when Ring of Honor gets back off the ground. But I think that would be a better idea. I think break that cycle that your dad created, and just go like, hey, like Ring of Honor, I'll be your head booker, a spot that Marty Scurll very briefly just occupied before the pandemic and then other things. I feel like he could go there. He could work with EC3. There's a lot of things you could do, but I guess he's going to WWE. The biggest dig in that whole Kenny Omega thing, which is like, I hear he's on a flight to Saudi Arabia. Like that was the biggest burn there. It would also clearly says what Kenny Omega thinks about WWE at the same time. Yeah,
they're soulless corporation.
Well, let's wrap it up here. What should everybody do?
Like, subscribe, ring the bell, share, tell everybody you know to listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Tune in to all your favorite wrestling shows because, again, even when it's bad, you still get the moments. And we will see you next week when we will discuss my time at Raw.
Something.
Probably. I don't know that there's not a whole lot of big things on the docket for this week outside of the Ziggler Ciampa match. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. See you then.